Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Today we are going to talk about complementary and supplementary angles. So the first one that we're going to talk about is complementary angles. So complementary angles are not just two angles that when they see each other tell them that they're pretty, but they are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So if I have angles of 40 and 50, those would be considered complementary because of the fact that 40 plus 50 equals 90 degrees. So here we see in this picture that we can have the angle of 40 degrees and an angle of 50 degrees that if they were to separate or be together, we can add those two up to 90 degrees. The next one that we're going to talk about is supplementary angles. So supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180 degrees. So when we talk about 180 degrees, what we're actually talking about is the same thing as if we were talking about a straight line. So when we have a supplementary angle, we have two angles that when we put them together would add up to 180 degrees, or that would form a straight line. So here we see an example of supplementary angles. We could, because the angle A is obtuse, meaning that it's more than 90 degrees, I could perhaps say that this was 120 degrees. And then angle B, in order for these to be supplementary, they need to add up to 180 degrees. This would be a 60 degree angle because 120 plus 60 would give us that 180 degree angle. So one of the things that we have to be very careful with for this lesson is paying attention to the vocab, complementary versus supplementary, and knowing what they mean. Complementary angles will make a corner, right? So we can think of the 90 degree angle as like a corner. And that supplementary will be 180 degrees and that will form a straight line. So let's look at some examples. So the first example here wants to know what is the complement, which is talking about complementary angles, of 50 degrees. So to figure this out, I need to know what complement means, and I need to know that that means it will add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to say that 50 degrees plus some angle will add up to 90 degrees, right? The 50 degrees is the one that we're given, x is the angle we're trying to find, and since it's a complement, it's going to total up to 90 degrees. Now we have a nice little one-step equation here that we can solve. We're going to subtract 50 on both sides, and we get x equals 40 degrees. So to find the complement of an angle, we write an equation, which is the sum of our two angles equals 90 degrees, and we can solve. For our next example, we want to know what is the supplement of 50 degrees. So again, we need to know what that word means. Supplement, it's talking about supplementary angles, which we know now adds up to 180 degrees. So we're going to take this 50 degree angle plus our unknown other angle, and we're going to set that equal to 180 degrees because of the fact that we're talking about supplementary, adding up to 180 degrees. Again, we have a nice little one-step equation. We can solve by subtracting 50 on both sides. Now be careful here because we're talking about 180 instead of the 90 degrees. So 180 minus 50 is going to give us 130 degrees. So again, finding our supplement of an angle, we can write our equation, which is the sum of the two angles equals 180 degrees, and we can solve. So let's look at some examples. So the first one, we want to find the complement of 45 degrees. So remember, complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So in this case, we're going to say 45 plus what equals 90 degrees. Again, nice little one-step equation. We can subtract 45 on both sides, and we get x equals 45. Now what you're going to find here is 90 degree angles. We have 45 and 45 added together, giving us 90, right? 45 times 2 gives us 90. So when you see common angles like a 45 degree angle in a right angle or 90 degree angle or complementary angles, we know that 45 and 45 are always going to be complementary. Now, where we have to be careful to not assume things is a question like number 2, where now they're asking us find the supplement of 45 degrees. So again, supplement, we mean 180 degree total angle. So for this one, I'm going to say 45 plus x is equal to 180. Again, nice little one-step equation. We're going to subtract out 45. And here I have 180 minus 45 to get 135 degrees. Now, with these questions, you can always set them up with the equation and solve, but if you understand what the word complement and supplement mean, you could absolutely have just looked at number 1 and said, okay, I want 90 minus 45, and I would get that 45-degree angle. Or when we're talking about supplementary angles, like number 2, you could have absolutely said 180 minus 45 is equal to 135 degrees. Because what we're doing here is really just this right-hand side. Okay. For our next 2 angles, we've got a little bit more reading to do, so we want to be very careful here. So our first one says, if 2 angles are complementary. So again, I have to think, what does complementary mean? It means that they add up to 90 degrees. Nice. All right, so if we have 2 angles that are complementary and one angle is 30 degrees, what is the other angle measure? So same idea that I'm going to say 30 plus my other unknown angle is equal to 90 degrees. Solving for this one-step equation, or if you were to just do 90 minus 30, we're going to get x equals 60 degrees. So our unknown angle is 60 degrees. In number 4, we have that if 2 angles are supplementary, so again, let's think supplementary means that they add up to 180. Excellent. And one angle is 30 degrees. What is the other angle measured? So I'm going to say 30 plus x equals 180. I can either solve this one-step equation by subtracting 30 on both sides, or if you understand supplementary is sum of 180, you can do 180 minus 30, and you're going to get that 150-degree angle for the other angle measure. All right, now sometimes what they're going to do is they're going to give it to you as a picture. And so the difference here is that they're not using the words complementary and supplementary to tell us what type of angle we're working with. So we have to use our eyeballs to visualize this. So in our first example, I'm going to first decide, is this complementary or supplementary? So I have this little box in the corner here, which that is telling us that this is a 90-degree angle. So if I know it's 90 degrees, I know that these 2 angles, angle A, B, D, so that's this one, angle A, B, D, and the angle that we're trying to find, which is measure of angle D, B, C. Don't worry too much right now, guys, about the format of how they're asking for this measure of an angle. That's a little more complicated than you guys are going to really see in 7th grade, but just kind of exposing you guys here that we're always talking about M being the measure here, and that's our little angle symbol, and then we go in the order that the letters are given. So I would have started with D, then B, then C. So I'm looking for this angle. So my one angle is given to me as 19. We're looking for the other, and they are complementary, so they total 90. So I'm going to say 19 plus what equals 90. Solving this one-step equation, I'm going to subtract 19 on both sides, and I'm going to get x equals 71 degrees. So we're going to get 71 degrees. All right, in question number 2, I look at how this line here is given to me, and that I know that for a straight line, this is going to be 180 degrees. These are going to be supplementary angles, right? So straight line forms supplementary angles. So we're looking for angle EFH. So E is here, going to F, going to H. So that's this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to say 71 plus what equals 180 degrees. Solving this by subtracting 71 on both sides. Be careful, this sounds similar to the one we just did because we just got an answer of 71, but that was for complementary angles. This is supplementary, so we're going to do 180 minus 71 to get 109 degrees. Right, looking at number 3, again, looking at this visual, I'm seeing a straight line here. And so I know that these 2 are going to be supplementary and are going to add up to 180 degrees. All right, so my first angle measure is 100, and I'm looking for this other angle here. Now, hopefully, I would bet a lot of you guys could probably eyeball this one, that 100 plus what gets you 180, and say that that other angle is going to be 80 degrees. We could have also found that by doing 100 plus x equals 180, and subtracting the 100 on both sides. And again, we're getting 80 degrees. My handwriting's getting slightly sloppier as we get more crowded here. All right, number 4. This one is giving us a right angle, and we see that by the little box here. And so right angles we know are going to be complementary, meaning it is 90 degrees. So we're looking for SQR, so that's this angle right here. We're going to say 20 plus what is going to give us 90 degrees. Right, again, this one would be 1 because those are nice numbers. You could probably use your big, beautiful brain and figure that out, that we're going to get 70 degrees, or you can subtract the 20 on both sides and get x equals 70. So we get 70 degrees. All right, for number 5, again, we're seeing that right angle symbol. We know that these are going to be 90 degrees. So again, the trick here is visualizing first what type of angle am I given and what is that total going to be. So here we have 32 degrees and what? So I'm going to say 32 plus x equals 90. Subtracting 32 on both sides, I'm going to get x equals 58. And so that will measure 58 degrees. Now, you can actually check these answers, and the check would be the same way that we checked equations. So to check this, I'm going to say 32 plus x equals 90, and I'm going to plug that in. 32 plus 58, is that in fact equal to 90? 32 plus 58 is 90, which is equal to 90, so that does indeed check out. All right, in number 6, I see this straight line here. So again, I know that these are supplementary angles, meaning that they add up to 180. Okay, so I have 91 plus x equals 180. So this one, some of you guys knowing, 90 plus 90 is 180, you might be able to kind of eyeball this one, or we can subtract out that 91 from both sides, and we're going to get x equals 89 degrees. This one can also get checked, just like we just did, that I can plug it back in. So 91 plus x equals 180. And I want to know, if I do 91 plus 89, is that going to equal 180? Sure is. So that is also going to check out. All right, so we have 2 more here. So again, first thing that I'm doing with number 7 is I'm determining, is it complementary and supplementary angles. So looking here, I have a straight line. So I know that these 2 angles are, you got it, supplementary. So they're going to add up to 180 degrees. So 46 plus x equals 180. Subtract out that 46 on both sides, and we're going to get x equals 134. Okay, one more. Again, looking at this picture, I see that angle. We know that that angle is a right angle symbol. So these 2 angles are complementary. Nice job. They add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to say 80 plus what equals 90. Real tough one to finish off here. We can use our big, beautiful brains for that one and say 80 plus what gives us 90. Better be 10. Or we can subtract out on both sides and say x equals 10 degrees. Okay, so again, with complementary and supplementary angles, the biggest part of this is identifying what type of angle you have and what that means. So complementary means that the 2 angles add up to 90 degrees. Nice. If we have supplementary angles, it means that the 2 angles add up to 180. Very good. So knowing that the complementary angles add up to 90, supplementary angles add up to 180, we can always solve for our missing piece by writing an equation. So we set up these nice little one-step equations, and we're good to go to solve. All right, hope you enjoyed today.